AMD is splashed over the headlines this morning as the company released new details behind their chip that is chasing nVidia. That's right. These two AI companies, and AI specifically is why we're looking at AI stocks versus the world right now. But these companies are looking to go head in head as this market continues to expand. For a little bit of background here, NVIDIA really took the reins a couple of years ago and started to develop new chips, kind of a derivative of what they've been doing with the video game and also Bitcoin mining. They took another step and went a little stronger with AI as they saw that market growing. Well, they were first to market that really came in with the chips ablazing, if you will. And now it's the job of everyone else to catch up. AMD announcing that they are starting to run a little bit faster. I liken this to a dog race. Right now, AMD is the second dog in the race. The second dog is usually running really fast to catch the first dog, and that's what you're going to see. Let's take a look at a couple of details here, though. First, I've got my AI stocks versus the world up in front of you right now. It's a sampling of the AI stocks that are out there. At the top, you're going to see a ticker symbol AI, which is C3 AI Incorporated, up 271%. That's right, almost 300%. Second, nVidia, 183%. That's where you get into the chips that are now supporting the building of the infrastructure for AI. And right behind that, you've got the second dog in the chip race, and that is AMD, up 96%. Now, for comparison reasons, right down here, we've got the SMH, which is the semiconductor sector. Both of those companies are part of the semiconductor sector ETF. It's only up 51%. That's a healthy 51%, but 51, and these companies have doubled and tripled that performance. So what does that make them? That makes them absolute relative strength leaders. But at this moment in time in the market, it also makes them a little susceptible to something very simpler in a trader's mind, anybody's mind, and that is profit taking. We're looking at a chart right now that is a monthly chart of AMD. It went up to $130 here as we're riding the back of that announcement. And for the record, the announcement, which dropped on June 13th in the afternoon, really didn't do much to budge the stock. You can see the stock actually pulling back. This is one of those phenomenons that we often refer to as selling the news. Everyone's expecting that AMD is going to come out with new chips and try to catch NVIDIA. They announced it finally. The stock had already run from 120 up to about $136. Boom, the news drops, and all of a sudden, investors know what the reveal is, and they kind of sell off that news. They take some profits. Remember, taking profits is not an ugly thing to do. It is part of your strategy, or should be. So you've got a little bit of a sell the news right now in AMD, but it goes a little further beyond that. If we look at NVIDIA, you're seeing the same type of activity where it's hovering right around these tops right now. Remember those returns I popped out to you a little bit earlier, 183% and almost 100% for AMD year to date. That means, again, profit takers are going to start taking a little bit of their money off of the table, but there's something else going on in this market right now. All those sectors, all those stocks that were doing so poorly in March, when these stocks were raging higher, are now starting to catch a little bit of a bid, what we call in the business. In other words, people are starting to buy those regional banks, the large banks, all the companies that were going to fail back in March. That is now attracting money. And in this case, I think you're going to see some of it flow from the large cap technology. And man, AI is full of profits right now. So you're going to see especially some of those institutional managers and those portfolio managers taking a little bit off the top on these AI companies and adding it to those suppressed sectors. Like I said, the regionals, the larger banks, and even retail, which just came off a really bad earnings season. So how's this play out for you right now if you're looking at AMD or even NVIDIA right now? And I've got to mention, full disclosure, I am long NVIDIA with some very long dated options on the stock that go out to January of 2025. That said, how do you position yourself right now? Well, this is going to be a classic, and I do believe it'll be a classic buy the dip. Not buy the dip in the sense of let's just buy anything, but you're going to see traders that are going to take advantage of this consolidation that we're seeing as the stock has gone sideways for the last couple of weeks, tried to poke higher. It's remained a little bit in an upward trend here, but an ideal situation would be for me, the stock to drop down to that 20-day moving average, this orange line here. That's what I refer to as a trader's trend line. If we pull back to that 116 level, you're going to find the traders coming in and truly buying the technical dip at that point. A worst case scenario right now for nVidia or AMD is that you'd see something, let's say, seismic happen in the market. Everybody's waiting for the other foot to drop right now, whether it's in semiconductors, whether it is in those banks. We've all got that little edge right now, that feeling that there's something else out there. If there were, and keep in mind, the Fed is right now working in your favor. A lot of things are working in the market's favor. But if we were to have one of those gray or black swan events, I start to look down right here at the $100 level. If AMD touched on that, it's round number. Round numbers always matter for stocks. And that's where the stock's 50-day moving average is. If you don't know what that is, make certain that you start following us here, because the 50-day moving average is the barometer of whether or not the market's trend is your friend. And in this case, it certainly is on AMD. So back to how I play it with some details here at $116. If we see a pullback at that level, I would certainly start adding to the position. Give it a little bit of room to breathe right now as this crowded trade maybe gets a little less crowded. If we were to see that gray or black swan event, take it down to the 50-day moving average, and you could see it go lower, but that's where I become attracted to AMD. Why would I be a buyer? Look at this. When we go out to the long term, and I'm going to bring up nVidia first. NVDA is your ticker there. If you're watching me talk about AMD, you know what nVidia is doing as well. But here we go. Look at the monthly for nVidia. Give me just a second to pull that up. For some reason, it didn't want to comply with me. Notice that the company has taken out those 2022 highs, 2021, 2022 highs. Why? AI. Right in here is where you saw NVIDIA really start to embrace this AI movement. And over the last 6 months, we've seen it absolutely blow up. So the stock has now recouped all of the losses, the post pandemic losses, and those post, if you will, the post bear market losses, and is pushing itself to new high. The reason I want you to look at this chart is if AMD is chasing the company, which we know it is, look at how far it's got to go to get up to that $180, which is where its previous highs were. Long term, end of year, I'm looking for that $180 to $200 price tag on AMD as they turn up the heat on NVIDIA. And I'd be both a buyer of the stock and a holder, as well as in some cases leveraging those moves with options. As always, follow us right here for more information on not only the AI surge, but all market topics. Have a great day, everybody, and I wish you the best trading success.